Guys, I'm gonna get in trouble for this video because I don't think Undead Labs likes when I uncover this stuff too early. I mean, just look at the screen, look at what I've uncovered that the devs have been messing around with. This is the part about the Boons and Banes I've talked about in a previous video, and I mean, this is just insane. We'll talk more about all this stuff here in a bit. We actually have a lot to catch up on with this video, as Undead Labs recently discussed their upcoming plans for updates for State of Decay 2. Currently, right now, the new patch, which is the new infestation update, is available on the PTR right now for testing, and wow, guys, I've had a lot of fun there so far, but there has been a lot of bugs, and it's safe to say that this isn't ready to go just yet. As you guys see here, setting up traps like mines and stuff, this is really awesome, and a host of other things like the hearts being awakened and sleeping. But I'm actually going to save all those cool new features with the infestation rework and how they work in general for a separate video. I'm still trying to test it myself, and I'm wanting to make sure that I fully just grasp everything before I let you guys know how it all works and I showcase it in a video. But today's video is about what the developers themselves have said recently on what we can expect in 2023 for State of Decay 2, and I'm excited to cover what the developers have been really secretly working on with this new Boons and Banes, which I have a first-hand look now on how some of this works, and by far this is the most exciting change to the game that I've seen since Plague Territories, and even more exciting in my opinion than this new infestation update that we're going to get early next year or sometime next year. I mean, all this is really juicy stuff. But all right, let's start from the beginning. And last week the developers unveiled that they are indeed working on more stuff that's coming to State of Decay 2, and that and this is me paraphrasing, that there is no end in sight at the moment to stop doing updates for this game. Not only that, they said that the infestation update is not going to be the last feature we're going to see. Don't even take my word for it. Listen to the developers themselves recently on a live stream.
The feature is going to come out for everybody. Once we've gathered that feedback, once we've made the sort of the last, put the last polish on the feature, that feature is going to come out sometime next year. And then there's more stuff that we're working on that Joe knows about. I don't know about it, but there's going to be, this game, again, we do not have an end date on this. We're going to keep supporting it. And so Infestations is not the end. It's not the last feature that we're going to put in. There's going to be plenty more to come in the future. So
now, one thing that I want you guys to take note of is that they mentioned that you will see stuff from the wish list make it into the game here in future updates. So that's this page right here. And the things that have the most upvotes are things that they are considering adding. And again, some of these things on the wish list will be added according to the developers. This is something they said last week. Also, feel free yourself to head to this page and let your voice be heard. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, they mentioned that updates are still coming for State of Decay 2, and Infestations is not the last feature we're going to see. Well, you guys know in a previous video, I had told you guys about two big things that the developers have worked on at some point or another, or are even currently working on right now, and that's a feature uncovered called Boons and Banes. Now, the reason I know they have worked on or have messed with this before is the developer menu on PC. The devs themselves have pulled this up on live streams, I think by accident. Well, me using that same menu, I actually get a small glimpse of what they have worked on or what they are working on. Now, big disclaimer, guys, is I always have to with these videos. Just because the developers have messed with this stuff doesn't mean it's technically coming, and we have to wait for the official announcement and the official word. But as I've shown in the past with my videos over the time, the proof is in the library of my content. Most of this stuff that I have uncovered has come out and has been later announced, though I will say not always has everything shown up. I've been wrong a few times, but this Boons and Banes and the new Black Plague Heart has come out more developed and more fleshed out since I showcased it many months ago, and we have a first-hand look at how some of this works now versus before when I was just speculating, and I have to say I wasn't too far off with my guesses. Now, I told you guys Boons and Banes is likely modifiers that will affect the game. Well, here it is. We now have specifics on what Boons and Banes will look like if this feature launches onto the game. I won't go over every single one of these, and for the record, not all of them work just yet, and when I turned on some of them, they actually would just flat out crash my game. Since this feature isn't likely fleshed out just yet, it's not worth really going through all of them, but you guys get an idea of how this new feature is going to work. For example, in Boons, we get buffs to our game gameplay. Zombies have soft skins, which makes them weaker. Or the one here that says just fed, my guess means that they are less likely to attack you. Or even one here called well-oiled machine would give you a buff to your outposts and your facilities, making crafting more productive. Then hop over to Banes, and this is really where the fun for me gets. Z's get thicker skin, which means they're going to be harder to kill. Elevated senses means that they can spot you even easier. But the biggest stuff I've seen, guys, now is this new zombie type. These new zombies now explode like bloaters, and they light up blue to indicate that they are different. And boy, this gets super wild and super crazy. Every zombie being turned into a bloater is super dangerous. And the kicker, though, is that it looks as though they drain stamina instead of your health, which thank God, because if it was health, that would be big time dangerous. But the bigger danger is actually, in my opinion, with these new zombie types, is their decrease in visibility. If like a feral comes charging at you, you're not going to see it coming. Maybe you can hear it, but man, this is just crazy to me. Then you have something completely new in something called Curveballs. This is something we just discovered. This gives even more modifiers that are unique. Sentinel mutation says these zombies are completely deaf to noise, but their eyesight is far much better, which means they'll be able to see you from farther away. Or there's one here that says glass cannon zombies. They can do more damage, but they die quicker. And this one actually did seem to work for me when I turned it on. And with this one, I actually kept one-shotting Z's quite frequently, and it seems like I was taking more damage when they would hit me, and I was doing this with a character that wasn't leveled up in its fighting. And then you have the one here juiced up, and this one also spawned the new zombie types that I've been showing you in all these clips. So my goodness, guys, feel free to pause and read over all these new modifiers and all the things they're messing with Boons and Banes. As I said, I don't want to go through each one of these, and most of them didn't work, but we'll definitely cover this more in depth when this is actually an official feature that's announced. And I truly hope the developers are really working hard on this, and I'm really hoping that they implement this into the game soon, because my goodness, this will change up the game in a huge way, and it's a very clever way to do it. But okay, that wasn't really the only thing. This actually came really late, and I almost made this video before I discovered this, but this was brought to my attention just in time. The Black Plague Heart, guys. I've shown this before, but before I actually had to recreate it from modding. It was in the game from the developers, but the assets weren't there for me to actually showcase what they had made. Well, we now have a first look at the Black Plague Heart that the developers themselves have made, and it looks more badass than our recreation in my previous video. And with this new Black Plague Heart, in order for me to actually have spawned it and shown it on the map and activated through this new Boons and Banes menu, I had to have my whole map cleared of all the Plague Hearts, so it wasn't possible for this to show up until there was no Plague Hearts left. And a new thing that was discovered with this new heart is that it actually takes double the hits to take it out, so it has double the health. Now, nothing new spawned, nor did I get any sort of new loot of any kind, so this Black Plague Heart continues to be a mystery how they're going to actually implement it. But we now know how this looks from the developers themselves and how they want to showcase it, and that it's going to be a lot harder to take down than normal. So there you guys have it. Now, while technically this hasn't been officially announced yet, I will be very surprised if we don't see it, simply because you can tell they've already put in a lot of work into this already. Now, for me, the big questions are going to remain: how exactly does this get implemented into the game years later? What actually turns on these new Boons and Banes? From what it seems, it's almost like an event for several of these modifiers when I turn them on in the menu. Do we have the options to choose Boons and Banes themselves to spice up the game, or are we going to have to do some stuff in game that gives us these negative or positive consequences to our gameplay? So there is a big plan here still to come that I'm not sure about, and I can't wait to find out exactly what that's going to be. And the last thing that I want to mention about this is developers themselves have said in the past they can't add exactly new creatures or new zombie types into the game in terms of something like we've never seen before from scratch. For example, like a zombie bear or something like that, because the game's memory or something, there's some limitations. I'm not developer savvy, but this game is many years old now, and it still has to work on older generation consoles. So this unique way of implementing new zombie types by still keeping the same assets, I think is super clever, and I really give the devs a lot of props here. As always, we're gonna have to wait for the official announcement, but guys, I'm glad we're still gonna see new features like this, and I'm praying this new Boons and Banes I've just showcased is something we're gonna see super soon, because it looks amazing. And with that, guys, check check out this video if you guys want to know how the new infestation update's gonna look when it drops next year. I'm Sunny, and as always, stay safe out there, survivors.